How's it going, everyone? My name's Shane. Welcome back to the Horror Basement. And I have to admit something to you all. I do not have an actual coherent strategy for picking which movies I talk about on this channel, and I sometimes resort to just doom scrolling through movies on Shudder and letting the titles and the posters decide for me what I'm going to watch. It is the modern, you know, in-house equivalent of just picking out a movie from the horror aisle of your local blockbuster. So the movie I found, and we're going to be talking about today by doing this, is Dark Night of the Scarecrow from 1981. Now, when I saw this title and poster, or thumbnail, whatever you want to call it, on Shudder, I figured this was going to be a gory and somewhat goofy early 80s slasher, which is, 100% my shit, as all of you know who follow the channel. And I was not given that, but I can't say that I'm disappointed. It turns out this is actually a made for TV movie based on a short story of the same name, and being that it was made to be aired on CBS, except for a few gunshot wounds and a pitchfork stab, which looks like somebody just got some ketchup on their shirt. This is a nearly completely bloodless psychological thriller. So the movie begins in a literal field of flowers where we meet our first two characters, the young Mary Lee Williams, who is a little girl, and her friend, who is an adult named Bubba, who is depicted as a person with some kind of learning or mental disability. And because this is the 80s and not the current era, they decided to depict this by having Bubba wearing a pair of overalls and a child's hat and speaking in broken English in what would be described by modern audiences as a depiction of a mentally handicapped person that is beyond parody. But we have to get past that to get to the rest of the film. So on the way home from picking flowers and singing songs together, Mary Lee breaks into some random person's backyard and is mauled by a dog. And for some reason, when Bubba rescues her and carries her home, she is presumed dead, despite the fact that she is not. And despite the fact that she was mauled by a dog, people in town believe that Bubba was the culprit. Those people in town specifically are Otis, the mailman, and his basically gang of quote unquote good old boys, Harless, Skeeter, and Mr. Philby. So they immediately form a four-man lynch squad, or a lynch mob, and chase Bubba back to his family farm, where Bubba's mother instructs him to play the hiding game, where Bubba dresses up as a scarecrow and gets up on the scarecrow post in the field so as they won't find him. But the men eventually do find him and execute Bubba by shooting him multiple times. We then cut to a courtroom where the perpetrators are released scot-free by some I remember what it was. They claimed that Bubba had attacked them with a pitchfork and they had shot him 20 times in the chest in self-defense. This, of course, is not true, and the men are released, much to the outrage of Bubba's mother and the prosecuting attorney, who acts essentially as the two main red herrings going forward, because the Scarecrow begins to stalk Otis and his accomplices, and the rest of the movie basically follows Harless, Skeeter, and Mr. Philby as they're slowly stalked and killed one by one, and Otis becomes increasingly more deranged and unhinged in an attempt to, you know, control his minions and uphold his standing in the community. Uh, this, of course, does not work out. It's implied in the film by Bubba's mother that Otis is himself a pedophile, and it's, of course, not stated outright but implied, and that it was essentially jealousy and capriciousness towards Bubba that motivated the initial crime. And of course, in the end, we do realize that it is not, in fact, the or the prosecuting attorney Sam or Bubba's mother, but it is, in fact, the Scarecrow himself, who is the spirit of Bubba, who is executing his revenge on these people. But that is only seen in the very last shot of the film. Do we see the Scarecrow up and walking around, or actually moving on screen? The rest of the movie, like I said, is bloodless and shot in like killer POV when we're watching Bubba / Scarecrow do his work. So the fact that we didn't get a Scarecrow slasher film is somewhat disappointing, but I actually enjoyed this like small southern town, suspense thriller vibe that the movie went with. And actually, I'd definitely, if you have Shudder, check it out. It is an intense interpersonal drama with some supernatural and horror elements mixed in. And for being a made-for-TV movie, very enjoyable. That's going to be it for today's videos, guys. Hope you liked it. Leave a like if you did. Hit the subscribe button. And let me know down in the comments what movies you want me to watch, especially if they're somewhere like Amazon, Shudder, or Netflix where I can get them easily. I'd see y'all the next one. Thank you.